Ladies and gentlemen, chess is a difficult game, and the learning curve to improve can be very tricky to navigate. There's a lot of resources out there. You don't know exactly who you're supposed to listen to and how much time you should dedicate every day to what area of study. Well, I've got a lot of years of teaching experience, both here on YouTube and previously in schools and private lessons, and let me tell you, in this video, I will be demystifying this learning process for you by showing you what is, in my opinion, the most important skill. It's the skill that you are really neglecting, and that skill is analyzing your games. You may say, well, I do that all the time. No, it's truly, seriously going through your games and going step by step and coming out of those games with general pieces of feedback that you can then use to improve in the future. In today's video, I have taken 7 volunteer subscriber games. They are wonderful, by the way. We will be going up the rating ladder from 1100 to 2100. We're going to be covering so much space. And we are going to scan the opening, the middle game, and the end game. And I will be showing you how using Stockfish after you play your games will help you in the long run improve your chess and avoid making the same mistakes over and over. Let's take a look at this very first game. Gotham Sub has the white pieces, opens the game with a little queen's pawn action. All right, kind of a queen's gambit declined. Life is good. It's a 10-minute game. All right, H3 is not really a move. And also, I get wanting to defend your pawn with the bishop by playing this. The opening can be a little bit better, but I'm not super mad about it. Both sides play in a very similar way. And now white jumps into the black position. And I'm just going to kind of click through here. What happened? Why is black completely winning? What happened, right? So let's back up. What happened? I mean, well, compare the position, right? Black suddenly took 2 pawns. Black is now up 2 pawns in the center of the board, and white is completely lost. Black is about to come here, and white's got to jump out of the way. How did that happen? From a position that was relatively fine. Well, let's check off the first box. Did white do anything wrong in the opening? A little bit, like a kind of an unnecessary H3 move. The bishop should probably be out. And beginners, you frequently have blind spots and you leave pawns in the center to be really tense together. Whereas you can just make your life significantly simpler as a newbie and just make a center pawn trade so you never accidentally blunder everything. And you know what? Maybe in the future, you will even take this pawn. And then there's going to be no blunders. What white did in this game was got a decent position from the opening, but then jumped into the opponent's position, destabilizing the center, and then started firing pawns forward, and then lost that pawn. So completely just blind spot, right? Lost that pawn, and a couple moves later, pushed the pawn and lost this too. So pawn play for this person, especially in the center of the board, is a massive blind spot. And if you're going to play the queen's pawn opening, think about this. You are playing D and C in the first two moves. You can't lose both pawns, right? So that's why this person lost this game. Just a little bit of central pawn blindness. Just in general, it would be good if you're going to play with the queen's pawn, not to let that tension dictate the game, because you are anchored right here for the rest of the game. Like, the pawns have to defend everything, whereas if you capture in the center of the queen's pawn once or even twice, if possible, it'll really simplify things. What happened in this game is white lost 2 pawns because of pawn blindness, right? Just not thinking about, continuity, and then got the knight pinned to the king because it's like a psychological thing. You don't want to go back to where you were. You would rather go back to a new square. And anytime you make a move and a piece is loose, you got to think, how can they put me under pressure? And in this case, they're putting you under severe pressure. And the bishop can take this, opening up an attack here. Yeah, and black just played a great game. I mean, just bulldozed, really. And I like what white did here to try to create counterplay, but it was just... from bad to worse. So, why did you lose this game? I mean, you got crushed, right? You got crushed because you played a very stable, solid opening, but then you started implementing a totally aggressive and inaccurate game plan, and you lost 2 central pawns. And that was it. The game was over. You never had a chance beyond that. So moving forward, what I would want this person to do if they were my student is to clarify that central tension before they start jumping forward. And every single time they move a pawn, they got to think about what changes in the position, what they stop defending. And just in general, pay closer attention to pawns that interact. But the opening was pretty good. Let's take a look at this game. Gotham sub in this game has black. There's a spider on my ceiling. Plays the Caro-Kann, okay? This time we're going 1300. C5, good stuff. And gets hit with F4. F4 is a good move. It's the best move in my opinion against knight C6. So white now hangs on to this pawn. And if you are well prepared in your Caro-Kann opening, you know that against all of this, you try to put a knight on F5, you try to fight back, and then you try to break with these two. Black doesn't do that. Black doesn't do their opening successfully. They're not going to win this pawn because white has C3 and then B4, and very simply also white just can offer a queen trade. So now black, as a result of not getting a successful opening, so they didn't remember their opening. Like, whereas in the last game, the opening was fine. In this game, black needs to go re-review their opening. Now black just gets really rattled. Starts fighting with one piece. All right? That takes. All right, fine. Knight F5, bishop F2. Now I kind of like this. I like where we're going now. Both sides castle. Now what I would have really liked to see here from black is acknowledgement of the opposite side castling and realizing, okay, maybe I can't do a whole lot of damage with my pieces, but let's try to break the position open. Yes, I'm down a pawn, but I'm getting my rooks down there. And look at this, back to equal, despite being a pawn down. Because the bishops are so good, this could be used as a battering ram in rook c8. Opposite side castling, right? You've got to adapt to the situation. Black in this game, for the remainder of this game, basically played the whole game in one movers, which is crazy because black is 1300. Like, black's got to be thinking a little bit more than in one move. Bishop a4 attacks the rook. Bishop b5 attacks the rook. Bishop c4 attacks the rook and loses another pawn. Now white starts thinking in one move. g4, knight h6. When a knight is stuck on the edge of the board, don't let it back into the game. Just play h3. That knight is a prisoner on the edge of the board. Instead, white plays g4 and g5. Don't even think. Just go back. The knight now lives there forever. And okay, you're 2 pawns down, but maybe you'll create something over here. Instead of that, white, again, black just thinking in one move. And just one move. And now comes back and tries to hit the rook, but the rook runs out. And then a5. I mean, right, like totally scatterbrained. White is just attacking. And then black just blunders the knight. Like, black played the move h6 and then decided, I'm scared of rook g2, so I'm going to move my king here, and then resigned. Not a good showing. But why did black lose? Black lost this game because they did not remember how to deal with this. But they let that trickle into the rest of the game. They got a slightly bad position, but then they just, the whole game was spent one move at a time. Whereas they should have adapted to the position and just hit the pause button for a second and went, all right, we are counseled on opposite sides. What does that mean? How do I maximize my pieces? Which of my pieces is the worst? This guy. Open him up. Open him up, right? There's a king on the other side. Instead, I mean, bishop a4, one movers. You gotta start removing that from your arsenal. So I think that's really what happened here. And black needs to be a little bit less rattled when they don't get the desired opening outcome. Because if you notice, about 10 moves in a row in this game were literally just one movers. Black, it just completely went away from playing with a game plan. So it's okay to not get the opening. Trust me. It's okay not to get the opening on the board. You still have to adapt and beat people. Would Hikaru win this with black against this 1360? Yes, right? Like with an 1800 win? Yes, but that's what it takes, right? So next game, we're going to keep moving up the rating ladder, although I think this is right around the same. Yeah, okay, this is like a 1200 game. I got a couple of these. Caro-Kann again, this one, exchange variation. In this game, black got everything right in the opening. Like absolutely everything. Just the picturesque exchange Caro-Kann. Knight e2. Now, do you know the plans of your opening beyond this point? Maximize your pieces, pressure your opponent's weaknesses. So if I'm looking at this position, I'm putting a rook on c8. I'm putting a knight on e4. Maybe I'm playing a6 or a5. Opening the position is probably fine. Okay, black doesn't play exactly the right plan, but then gets an excellent position. Queen c6. Personally, I would have taken maybe with the pawn and tried to play a5. But I like queen c6 too. And okay, I personally would not play g6. Why? Is the queen a problem? No. I don't think so. It doesn't attack anything. This is guarded by this and this. I mean, this is guarding this, this, and this. This is guarded by this. When you play this move, now your queen has to stay guarding the knight. G6 is a dopamine move. You play the move G6 like, wah, I gotta attack the queen. And even if Stockfish says it's fine, I wouldn't play this. I would probably start to fire at this queen side with my pawns and my rook. This is okay. It doesn't lose the game by any stretch of the imagination. But see, now look at this. You're wasting time, right? All the way back here, you got a perfect opening. Why are you not bringing your rooks to the game? Right? This person got a spectacular opening. Fantastic book preparation on the board, but not utilizing rooks or pawns. At some point in this game, Black made many, many, many queen moves in a row. It's the same exact position. Now White is getting back into the game. And now White starts an attack. And credit to Black, because Black did not panic. And right here, Black found a very nice idea. The White queen is trapped. Opportunity falls into your hands and you capture it. Good idea by White, sacrificing the knight to escape. Now, King F8 is an okay move, but I gotta tell you, you gotta go here. I mean, the most incredible thing is King F8 is evaluated as slightly higher by Stockfish. Never run your king to the center. Like, 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong decision. In the long run, you will make a mistake. I think the king is so much safer there. And the point is that your knight is safe. Like, if they try to attack your knight, you will just defend it. And then you have backup, and your king is just tucked away. All right? Going to F8 might involve some problems, because now your king is right there, and actually the problems arise very quickly. In this position, Black plays knight G3. And here for the first time, we see a tactical mistake, as Black played knight G3, and simply forgot it could be captured. Like, all of this tension here, knight G3, just taken, and that's a tactical thing. You're going to make one movers, and some one movers are fatal. Knight D2 here would be lights out. You would fork and win a rook, and the game would be over. But sometimes you play 27 good moves, you play one really bad one, and Black is completely lost now. Make no mistake. It is, like, hopeless. White just takes everything. But Black actually keeps fighting, and in an unbelievable turn of events, Black actually fights back to a pretty complicated rook endgame, and then right here, just... what should you play? If your rook can't take the pawn, this gotta go, right? No. D2 here would have drawn the game, but Black, unfortunately, with 5 minutes on the clock, that's not excusable, right? So, in reality, why did you lose this game? Actually, you lost this game because of a lapse of focus in the endgame. Not realizing that, you know, you were still in the game. But if we go back, why did you lose this game? Just literally a one-move oversight. And the truth is, this happens. If you play a game like this is actually a net positive for your chess. I would argue the loss that we just saw, just like getting into this one-move tunnel vision, is worse for your chess long-term. This is going to happen to you until you're 2000 probably, even beyond that, okay? One-movers, it happens. This game was great. Little things like not dancing your queen around in the middle game, not creating unnecessary weaknesses, but overall a really, really good game. This one was funny. So this was actually, I did not mean everybody to be a Caro Kann player in this video, but a lot of people submitted Caro Kann games. So this is a 1700 rated game, and you'll notice that Black is just doing like whatever. White is just doing whatever against the Gotham sub. Like, White is playing the queen out, and now is like what is queen c3? Queen c3 is trying to defend both of these pawns, and it actually loses the game. So as you go up and up to like 16, 1700, your opponents, if they mess around in the opening, can literally lose the game. That's how fatal it can be. And Black is winning here. Why is Black winning? Because wouldn't it be nice if White could pin the queen to the king? Wouldn't that be great? Well, how are we going to do that? Of course, we're going to play e6, right? But then White is going to castle. Well, e5 wins. Just the whole game. Whole game. Because if anything takes, you play bishop b4. So White actually has to go here. And now you are just a pawn up. The queen is super cramped. You overwhelm in the center. You're up a pawn, and it's -3. So e5 just wins the game. So when you're 1700 and you know your openings well, and you're facing garbage, like you're like queen c3, You gotta look for refutations. If not queen c3, knight e4. Get aggressive. Try to refute them. Don't just play lazy chess. And in this game, black made a mistake of playing lazy chess. What is bishop b4 now? It doesn't pin the queen to the king. There's nothing there, right? It's just a lazy move. In fact, you can argue the queen is in the way of the knight. The queen is in a bad position right now. Just go here and then start attacking. But by playing this, it's a dopamine move. And it was made in 8 seconds. It's a dopamine move. And by the way, how long did it take? Again, 3 seconds for e6. 3 seconds for e6. Just a little bit lazy. People at this level are so good, they don't think about moves like e5 because they just very rarely happen, right? Just a little bit lazy here. All right, so come back. Now, black for the rest of this game played like a 1700, played really well, was slightly better. The way I would play this is I would probably invest in my center and try to, blow up this 3-pawn structure somehow. I would probably try to trade the bishops. Like, I would do this so I can put my rooks on C and B and just rain down on the queen side. But it's a very equal position. It's very close. And white is a very annoying player because white just trades everything. Like, that's just what white did. Against players like this, you've got to be aggressive. I mean, you got to go for d4. You got to open up the position, hit this, create threats against them, right? Otherwise, you're just going to sit there and make a draw. And unfortunately, rook e8 is just, it's a little too passive, rook e8. Because, you want to play e5, but they're just going to go here. And I really like how black played this, all right? But sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes, like, look at white. White just trading everything. I mean, how is this fun, right? Now you're in an endgame, and you try to triple stack. And I already talked about this in earlier in the video. Don't create unnecessary weaknesses. That's kind of pushing it a little bit. Rook d2 comes in, and now the queen is like dancing. You're trying to find a way forward, and now black is lost. Because you just cannot prevent rook d8. Just a complete miracle. White played so mediocre for 35 moves. Did nothing impressive and wins. There are some people who play like this. This is just one of those things. Like, sometimes you play a decent game and then you just lose. You just straight up lose the game. So, what was the mistake here? Well, the mistake here was not punishing bad, subpar, trash approach in the opening, right? e5, tactical. But just in general, a little bit lackadaisical. Bishop b4, like, just because it attacks the queen doesn't mean it's a good move, right? What you need to do when you're 1700 to win games is, like, every decision in the game counts. You can't just lazily like, all right, I'll trade the knights, no problem. I love how black played this, all right? I love how black played this. But if you're playing someone who very clearly wants to trade all the pieces, keep the tension as much as possible. Keep as much tension on the board as possible. Play h6. Don't let their pieces get close to you. Even knight e4, you want a big center? f6. Take a little risk. You want e5? It's okay to play f6, e5. Now you have a giant center. Now you can play rook d8 and d4 and just tuck your king away in the corner. You need to take a little risk. Otherwise, they're going to suck the life out of you if you play somebody that just does what this person does. This is a strategy, and it got this person to 1666. All right? Black played a great game and lost. Just lost the game, basically, in one move because of this g6. Black just didn't know what to do. They should have just went in. One move weakened that square, and that was the square on which the game was decided. It's tough. Like, how do you learn from a game like this? You just got to be a little bit more aggressive and punishing of that lazy style. You know what I mean? Black played a great game. Second time in this video. The first guy hung a knight. This guy hung a square. Literally, all he did was he weakened f6, and he lost. It happens. All right? It happens. Now, I have a couple more examples. These are already 1900 and 2000. So this first one I'm very frustrated by. A 1900 rated subscriber has no opening at all against the French. You got to have an opening against the French defense. Like, advanced variation, do something aggressive. I'm always going to err on the side of aggression, like Milner-Barry Gambit. They can't do this because bishop b5 check. Okay, Milner-Barry is like, I mean, you have to pose problems for people in the opening. In this game, my dear subscriber has, like, almost the worst position after 10 moves. I mean, like, he gets, like, an okay position, and then he starts, like, doing, not 10 moves, 15 moves. After 10 moves in the opening, he was a little bit better. He was like a little bit more developed. And then he just went for some wild tactics. HG, knight G6, and when the dust settled, 2 pieces for a rook. Just busted. Totally bad position, went a little... And the reason for that is that I think like you need to pose problems to people at this level. You cannot just exchange French. And I get why you play it because it's like very annoying to face and you still got a good position. So, but if you're going to play the exchange French, you have to know the plans. And the plan is not giving up 2 pieces for a rook and losing. You know what I mean? Like you just went for a tactic that totally didn't work. Now, just like the last game, when you get up to 17, 18, 1900, you're so good that you're lazy. Chess has been easy for you. You're like in the 98th percentile of players. So you did knight f4, and then you lose. Because you're still not as good as you think. So my personal opinion is, even at 1900, we see a game where he's not doing anything crazy in the opening. Some of these 1300s were more prepared than this person. But at 1900, you're so solid, you're not going to make dumb mistakes. This was not a dumb blunder, but it was just a complete misevaluation of the position. And at this level, you lose games like this quickly. Bishop f5, bishop g6, g4. Now your rook is kind of stuck. Now your rook is almost trapped. Black develops, knight b6, puts a knight in the center, and you get forked. Just knockout, dead, headshot, Leon Edwards style. It's over. I mean, literally, what was this game? You booted up a game, and you got vaporized. Now, personally, if I gave this, if this person was my student, I would make them learn a better line against the French. Okay, like, your openings need to ask questions of opponents. You're not asking any questions when you play the exchange French. You're just being annoying. And, you know, I find it, slow down. Like, just bring the bishop back. Bring the bishop back. Rook d1, you have a lead in development. There's no need to start crazy tactics, especially if they don't work. So this person just lost because of a complete misevaluation, but in the long run, I would also tell this person, you need a more challenging weapon in e4. Here's an example of a game of a Gotham sub already at 2100. A Vienna where my sub did not know the right move after move 5. The right move in this position is d3. They completely didn't remember that and got a worse position. But then they bounced back. Then their opponent didn't punish them in the most emphatic way. All right, they tried to like give a lot of checks, and then white found a beautiful tactic. Bishop d6, counterattacking the queen, and trapping the knight in the corner, and great c3 move, and bringing the pieces back, and everything was good. It seemed like everything was going swimmingly. All right, bishop came back to f2, and white is just slightly better, and white loses the game in 1 move. So this is an example of being good enough at chess to completely forget your opening on move 5, which, by the way, just cannot happen. Cannot happen. After this, you got to go back and you got to review your lines, all right? Because this is, what are we doing? You don't remember d3. You have to remember d3. En passant is not the move, but still good enough to get a position. And then here it was just, you're playing against rooks. Don't put your rooks where they can be, you know, I'm sorry, don't put your pieces where rooks can bulldoze you. Just a tactical oversight. It happens. And, you know, just so you're aware, like, if this was the position, if king f8 was the position, this would not win for black. Because you have a check, and here, you can also have check and then move your knight. The reason why this is losing is because you cannot move either piece. If you play knight g3 trying to fork, you get checked first. Now you're just down a rook. So, why did white lose this game? A 1-move oversight. Is there like any general feedback from this game? Not really. Bad things happen. I mean, obviously, like, pay attention to rooks on the file. But this is useful as a 2100 in a speed game because you will not make this oversight again. The next time that you want to, you know, fight against 2 rooks on an open line like this, you just won't make that mistake as a 2100, hopefully. But this was a 1-mover. Opening was fine, not played right, learn it. Middle game was tremendous. 1-mover. Just like that other guy. 1-mover. Okay? And the last example I have for you is my dear Gotham sub playing against an English opening at 2100 level, doing their best, playing what looked like natural moves. Knight d5, bishop g5, getting their king opened with bishop f6 and queen h6, and getting absolutely vaporized, sent to the shadow realm with g4, g5, and then just forget about that whole queenside thing, and just smushed to death. Smushed to death. Rook f3, and my sub resigned the game because they cannot stop this mate. You may say, Levy, slow down. Why'd you go through the game that fast? So sometimes in chess, it's actually good to lose games like this. Why? I call them throwaway games. This game is really good to lose because you got beaten so badly that you will never get beaten like this again. My subscriber had no idea how to play against the English. No idea. Did not understand. The English opening is an opening that fights for the center via flank, via these two pieces, and white can either play it in a king's fianchetto style, or by taking the center like this, seizing control of d5, and then advancing and fighting for the light square complex. And look at the way this was played by Black. Black never fought back. Black never took on c3. Like, in this position, you know, if Black wanted to, Black could take the knight, and then, like, nothing's getting here. And also, just in general, like, if you're going to play e5, this pawn has to come here. So you have to be wary of this pin and knight d5, and you learn the hard way, all right? You never took this knight, so you put your bishop out here. Now your bishop is useless, completely useless. This is coming here, and you're already losing. And yeah, I mean, you tried your best, but it's hopeless now. You're going to lose f6. You're probably going to get mated. So learn an opening against the English. Have an opening against the English that complements your repertoire. If against the queen's pawn you play the Dutch against the English. If against this you play d5 and the queen's gambit declined, play that. All right? If against d4 you play, I don't know, the Budapest gambit, you can't do that against the English, so you got to learn something against the English. Don't play an opening that surrenders this. Play queen's gambit declined. Play in a way that what you play against queen's pawn can be played against the English. Or, if you're going to play this, learn how to play it. Play the line where you try to counterattack the center and not let white get what they want. Play c6, d5. Okay? Losing a game like this is nice because you had no idea what you were doing in an opening that's not theoretical. You can't learn crazy theory against the English. I mean, you can, but for 98% of you, 99% of you, you have to have a game plan rather than learning the theory. So have an opening against the queen's gambit or the queen's pawn that you can then play against the English. A setup-based opening, a king's Indian, a Grunfeld, queen's gambit decline. Or if you're going to play c4, e5, which is completely unique, you have to know what you're doing. So hopefully in this video, you kind of understood how to play some chess games and walk away from them with bullet points of what you did right and what you did wrong. If your opening was wrong, you have to go learn it or relearn it or realize you know nothing about it. And you have to think about it like a test in school. You wouldn't show up to a test in chemistry class not knowing anything, right? You quiz yourself before you get there with flashcards, the same in chess. Do I know what I'm doing against the English? No. Then don't play games. All right? I hope nobody plays the English against me. That's a really stupid way to play chess. Okay? I hope they don't ask this on the chemistry test. What? That's not how that works. So that's number one. Number two, in the middle game, did I handle the middle game correctly? What did I do wrong? Did I make the wrong trade? Did I dilly-dally with my pieces too long? Did I create weaknesses? Did I not punish my opponent's bad opening or middle game play? In the endgame, did I lose focus 40, 50, 60 moves in? Was my time too low? Did I not manage my time well? Was I down 4 minutes in a 10-minute game? All these little things. And you slowly start checking them off, and you start climbing the rating ladder to your desired goal. Get out of here.